Installment 6. The Exterminator That Woke Up a Roach. The exterminator had a name, but no one ever remembered it. He wore the same gray coveralls every week, carried the same rattling sprayer, and moved through apartment buildings as though he was invisible to the residents he claimed to help. Doors opened for him automatically, elevators stopped for him without being pressed. Everyone assumed he was efficient, methodical, and entirely predictable, until the day he woke up a roach. No one knew how it happened. Some swore they saw the creature stir after crawling out from a particularly quiet apartment, others said it crawled out from behind a radiator while he sprayed, twitching and clicking like it had never existed before. The exterminator didn't flinch. He cleaned the corner, adjusted the nozzle, and left, as though the roach had always been meant to wake, as though its movement was part of some larger plan he understood but could not explain. Residents noticed subtle changes afterward. Furniture would shift slightly, crumbs would gather in patterns too precise to be natural, the faint sound of something scuttling would appear where there had been none. The exterminator returned the following week, spraying in silence, leaving behind a trail of unseen consequences. The roach, or something like it, was still there, watching, waiting, adjusting to the routines of anyone who came too close. It was never about the exterminator, and it was never about the roach. It was about repetition. The apartment hummed with it, the presence of steps and cleaning and arrivals, the quiet continuity of daily life. And the city outside moved on, unaware that a small creature had been awakened, and that some routines, once altered, never returned to exactly the way they were. Installment 7. The Chef Who Got His Just Desserts. The chef had been working the same kitchen for years, tossing pans, stirring sauces, and humming to himself as the lunch rush came and went. Patrons rarely noticed him beyond the edge of the counter, the rhythm of his work blending into the steady clatter of plates and silverware. No one questioned him, except that one night, something in the oven shifted on its own. At first, it was small. A tray of desserts left cooling would appear slightly rearranged, whipped cream displaced, chocolate garnishes cracked. He blamed fatigue, the careless touch of a cook's helper, or the warmth of the kitchen itself. But soon it became impossible to ignore. One evening, he opened the oven to find a dessert moved from the back to the front, perfectly centered, as though someone, or something, had intended it for him. He laughed nervously and left the kitchen briefly, but the movement continued. Pies baked overnight seemed to arrange themselves in a pattern he didn't recognize, cupcakes aligned in neat rows, frosting slightly swirled differently than he had left it. By the next week, the chef began arriving earlier, adjusting his routine, trying to anticipate the unseen force. He discovered, too late, that anticipation changed nothing. The desserts followed the rhythm of the kitchen, the order of the day, the pattern of those who came to eat. When the chef finally understood, it was subtle but undeniable. The kitchen had begun to discipline him. Every tray misaligned, every frosting swirl rearranged, was not a mistake. It was a reminder that repetition mattered, that attention to routine created presence, that some forces noticed things long before the people around them did. He could not leave, not entirely, because the kitchen had already learned his steps, and he could not stop noticing that he was no longer in control, only part of a pattern larger than himself. By the time the last dessert baked and cooled that night, he had ceased asking questions. He only moved through the kitchen, quietly obeying, leaving each dish slightly off-center, just as he had been taught. Installment 8. The Zombie Who Watched Too Closely. They move so predictably. Day after day, they shuffle, scroll, and speak without ever glancing behind, as if the city has nothing else to hide. I follow them, always silent, always just beyond their line of sight. They do not know I exist, or perhaps they do, but they continue their routines anyway. Some smell me, occasionally, though they call it garbage, or smoke, or wet pavement. Some hear the shuffle and shrug it off, unaware their steps echo mine. I do not chase, I do not sprint. My hunger is patient, my presence quieter than the hum of the streetlights. I watch the same routes, the same corners, the same cafes, and every repeated motion draws me closer, not in miles, but in attention. At night, I rest in alleys that no one uses, under broken street lamps that blink intermittently, and I dream of patterns I cannot name. The humans cannot see the world as I see it. Their routines are magnetic, their habits form invisible corridors that I follow faithfully, endlessly. When someone changes their path, even slightly, I pause, noticing the break, the disruption, the deviation. It is the only thing that unsettles me. And sometimes, when a human stops too long in one place, staring at a phone or a sign, I wonder if they sense me at all, or if they simply remain blissfully unaware, carrying on as they always have, keeping the rhythm, feeding the pattern, and leaving me to watch between their stops.